So I'd love to take you behind the scenes of how Oz Fishing is performing, and then just kind of exactly what Sasha said, like the decisions we make and when we want to change the offer, when we think, hey, it's not working anymore. Even though the CPA to acquire a customer has become much more expensive, we still are very profitable because the ROAS, meaning people are spending much more. So the average order value is high. So it makes sense for us to keep spending and increase that spending. But just like I mentioned, so currently for the month, I think the biggest thing I always mention is we really wanted to be very profitable. We wanted to scale this month, but I think that there was no point in scaling and not actually being profitable. And I think this Black Friday, we're the most profitable than we ever have been. So we're sitting at almost, I think for Basu, almost 30% profit, which is extremely high because we keep scaling. And then Oz Fishing, it's almost at that 20% mark, which is really, really great to see. But I'd love to show you guys like what's working. And of course, if you're not up to this, like just take it for learnings for your next sale, for next Black Friday. I always learn and I always document what I do this year. And then it gives me insights on what to do next year. Because a lot of the Black Fridays, like you do change your offer here and there and your ads, but I somewhat implement the exact same thing. Like if something works, don't change it, and only change it, of course, until it stops working.
And just to add to that real quick before you go on, Hammond is a maniac on this in terms of the data and the journaling. I don't know, he gets a lot of you guys to keep that journal and make sure you're tracking what you're doing, day to day, week to week, just because it de-risks, a lot of the decision making when you have a historical record of like what happened at this particular time, and we changed this and we put these creatives live and we, adjusted the campaign budgets, whatever it might have been. That's what led to the result, and then we can repeat it. But when it's kind of just like, wow, we had really bad performance. Why? Not too sure. I think that was the time that we did this. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll just try a little bit of that. And it's very, very difficult to repeat success if you don't have like some historical data to work with.
Very true. I probably need to also write it down a little bit more on every single change we make.
Yeah.
But I think this breakdown is very, let me just move you guys to the left. Very interesting. So as I said, when we went live, like the CPA to acquire a customer, it was exceptionally low. How do I get rid of, 1 second. Sorry, bear with me, guys. So it's almost $11 to acquire a customer, which is, like I said, for Basu, the metrics we will always want to hit is between 25 to 35.
For Oz Fishing.
For Oz Fishing. I'll just add some more people. But so these are numbers that we're definitely below where we should be, which is fantastic to see. And then as you can see, week on week, everything just started to become much more expensive. We weren't seeing that really low CPA. ROAS was still okay because people were spending more. And then so then as you can see, if I go into last week, it's just much more expensive. It's almost tripled in some of the campaigns. So what we decided to do last week, which I briefly mentioned to you guys, I think on the call on Tuesday, is then I added a free product. And then to kind of offset that free product, which was just a stubby cooler, I think it actually cost us about $1, the cogs on that. So then what I wanted to cover with that is I just made shipping $1 extra. And then as I said last week, I don't like to do 2 changes at once, but we can see here when we go into the metrics of last week, like performance was up 42%. So it was a really great decision to make. Despite, yes, the ads were more expensive, but then we changed the offer, and then we saw, as you could see, the uplift was 12%, and that's kind of what offset that higher CPA. And then,
just to pause. So for those of you that might not have been part of like the initial earlier stage kind of planning and stuff that we did for Black Friday, we've gone through a lot of the call recordings and probably check back in the call recordings to just review like almost like the historical, like this is where we started, this is what we planned, and this is exactly for this reason that's happening right now is the reason that we have all of these like planned offers, because of the nature of what you can see right here in terms of like performance being really good, and then whether it's more volume coming into the market, whether more people are spending more money, and so we need to have things kind of ready and able to be deployed so that we can move quickly into the next thing, and we don't need to like stall or be static or need to continue running an offer that might not be that profitable. And so that's why this is a really crucial kind of like plan like the sale and the whole campaign overall needs to be planned well, so you can like run through it and you can drive it as big and bad as possible in terms of like really generate the most revenue and profit. And then when it does start to, you know, fatigue, or the offer starts to like entropy and starts to lose profitability, you can also quickly switch and you can go into the next thing and then still kind of like reinvigorate, which I believe that we may do this week in terms of the final offer, just to really stimulate demand as much as possible, which is going to be like our strongest offer, which will really just be that last kind of like crescendo almost in the sale period. So just in case you guys missed that, I think it's just super important to watch back over some of those previous recordings in terms of, we did a whole sequence of like Black Friday planning. This is how you should do it. There's a whole document that we put in place around it. We like organized all the steps, we organized all the email campaigns, the different offers that you should use, and we're just showing you the results of what we've done with exactly that same formula, and then also the changes that we're making based on that same formula as well, so that you guys can use that same structure and literally just go back through those, and we may even bunch them into their own little school program, like little segment that is just like Black Friday. So at least you know, like, these are the ones to go to for Black Friday, because it'll all be just like the same thing next year when we go again, or any other sale event that we do again. You can just like rewatch that same structure, set it up, and have you know, similar results, which is what, and the thing is, like Naira said as well, it's like each year it's designed to get better and better, you know, and as the more you run this and the more you kind of become more familiar with this in terms of what your audience really likes, the way to kind of like structure different offers, and then the price points that you can really, you know, begin to weave into your offers, like the better you'll get at it. And the more profit you'll actually make over this period. Really interesting. I had a podcast this morning with one of my mentors, and he has a business, and they don't do Black Friday, but they do a click frenzy type thing over this period at the moment. And in the last 5 days or something, they did 20,000 orders with an average order value of $197. So they did about $4 million in the last 5 days, and his company does over $100 million per year. And the interesting thing was, we were talking about the profitability on these orders, and he sees his profitability decline, right? And so we were kind of like strategizing and workshopping on like, okay, well, like how are you actually doing this? Because it sounds like you're just like ratcheting up maximum ad spend at the cost of profitability. Whereas like what we have found on the brands, we've seen profitability increase because of a really well structured and organized offer, right? That calculates, you know, where we need to be in terms of cost per acquisition and what's actually left over, which puts us in a really sustainable position. We can really grow stably through this time, and then not sacrifice like the future of tomorrow based on the results of today, which is really important. And I think something really crucial for everyone to know and understand as well. So if you haven't gone through those older by older, I mean like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Last week or the one before.
Or last week and the week before. Like, this really maps out the whole journey of what we've done through this period. And I think there's a lot of really good learnings that we will probably derive ourselves when we do a Black Friday retrospective look over this period. Naira and I will break this whole thing down and be like, what worked, what in which weeks and which offers did we make the most profit? How was it actually set up? What structures, what spends across which platforms? And then we'll just continue to improve and improve and improve. And then we'll do the same thing with you guys in terms of really continuing to share and you know, give you those updated kind of strategies on this, so that you can continue to win during this time. Because like I said as well, and just to reiterate that one more time, like it's very important that we, you know, grow. And the thing is as well, just to if you're in a position whereby this might be the first sale and you don't have much of a big list and you don't have much exposure in terms of your brand's quite new, it may be more challenging to be as profitable, right? Because every single customer you will be acquiring just about will be brand new. And so like everything that you're doing is like new business activity. So you don't have that benefit of a big list of a pixel with thousands and thousands and thousands of, you know, customers that have actually purchased. So the data is the most important thing. And one thing that I will definitely talk to in terms of those fishing shirts, as we go year on year and we acquire more and more customers and we build a bigger and bigger list, our acquisition costs should theoretically improve more and more, because we have more and more data. We know who our customers are. We have a bigger kind of remarketing audience we can use, bigger SMS marketing audiences. We have way more assets, so we should be able to drive better and better and better performances and do more volume, and then also more profit at the same time. So just know and understand like where you are in relation to where you want to get to, patience is key in terms of making this venture a long-term success. I say this over and over again, like you're not in business. It's like, how long do you want to be in business for? You know, is this just like a little side hustle that you want to have a little crack at? Or is this something, because, you know, you have the opportunity with companies like this to turn them into like a real profitable proper enterprise that can be, you know, that can look after your family, that can employ your family, that can be a multinational situation that can really make an impact on your future. And when you think like that, you'll absorb some little bumps in the road now, right, for the benefit of the future in terms of like, this is where I'm going to. I remember with like Tom, for example, when we were growing, you know, he had a lot of issues, a lot of cash flow issues, a lot of bumps in the roads, a lot of like issues with profitability. And then now the stabilization of the company for the last like 12, 18 months is really good. And he's really starting to get like some really strong profitable growth to the levels, despite having a full staff, having a warehouse, having these bigger costs absorbed inside the company. So it's just very important. And I think like it's interesting because a lot of you guys will be looking at some of the stats and the numbers and the results and like, I want that fucking now. Which is great. You can get it, literally. Like you can go after it and you can get it, and you should get it. There was an interesting statistic by I think Gen Z, Generation Z, which I don't think is too many people in here in terms of, I think that's people who were born from like 1998 to like 2000 and something, that age bracket. Their understanding or what they think is a good income, like just a reasonable average income, is over $500,000 a year. Right? Gen X that was before them was like 200,000. So the younger generations of today, they are more and more demanding of like, I want this now. That's just average, right? And then you wind that back to like the baby boomers and they're like, well, 110 grand, 120 grand. So also understand that like, depending on where you were born, it actually might dictate how much money you think is reasonably average for yourself. But just to put some perspective around that, guys, because I think you can look at these things and it's exciting and it's fun and you want it now and it can happen if you're willing to put in the work for it. But it's also like, make sure you're playing the right type of game in terms of like, business is a long-term game, and you want to play that long-term game and you want to make sure you're participating with that type of mindset. I think it's really important. When I first purchased this business, I bought it from a previous client of mine. And I thought that I would just be able to come into this company and fix it in like 3 months and it would be fine. And truth be told, I like lost money in this business for like probably 10 months because it was madness and it was terribly run. And I thought I was this much better than what I was, right? And the stock was all over the place. There was no systems in place. And I was like, this is horrible, right? And so there was so much organization that went into it, despite me knowing what I'm doing. I was like, whoa, like I bit off a lot here. There's like, 200, how many? Like there was like 700 SKUs, 800 SKUs, and they didn't even have barcodes. We had to like manually barcode like 12,000, 13,000 shirts that were scattered in different boxes. It just madness and chaos. And so it took a long time, but I think like what we're seeing now is the consistent work and energy and effort of like the same focused attention on the right thing. And this business will continue to grow and grow and grow in a strong and profitable level because we've really engineered the right things into the company that really start to actually move the needle. And you guys will all see the same patterns in your own company. Right now, what you're in a position of is like this. You're almost like plotting the map. Make sense? Like you're on this like piece of white parchment paper and you're like, well, I like, it's just all fucking white. There's nothing around me, right? And so what happens over time is you start to like run a little bit in this direction, bump into some stuff. You'll go over here, you realize there's a little bit of water over there. You'll go down this direction, there's some fire, and you start to like understand the territory of where you're at, and then you can play the game, right? You understand it's a map, you understand the different directions, you understand what's happening, you understand how to use all the things at your disposal, and then you can really start to win. And so what I really recommend as much as possible is lean into, especially sessions like this or feedback sessions like this or questions like this. Like the more you can lean into being uncomfortable and being like, oh, I got this like really stupid question. I feel like an idiot for just like even thinking about this dumb shit, but I just want to ask the question, but I don't want to look stupid. That right there is a massive opportunity to grow. And myself included, I get on a lot of coaching sessions with mentors and people around me. And sometimes I struggle with it where I'll get onto a call and I'm like, I don't want to look dumb, but I really have a question I'd love to ask, but I just don't want to look stupid, right? And the people that grow the quickest are the ones that are able to say, hey, I just got to ask this thing. I need some help. Show me what to do. Show me how we can do it. And it really helps you to like level up quickly. Right. So I just want to put some context and some perspective around that, guys, in terms of the way that I think about this, and also like what we've been doing here, and also like why we've been doing it and how consistent we've been doing it for, you know, considerable amount of time, and also where you're at versus where you want to get to. But the beauty is like you're seeing a lot of the finished product, or not yet finished, but like on the better end of a finished product of where we're working towards, if that makes sense. Like I'm showing you through, and Naira is showing you through a lot of like the systems, the frameworks, and the models that are working really quite well, right? So like you're not seeing the ugly stuff 3-4 years ago where it was like busted and broken, right? You're seeing the stuff now, and it's like you're modeling, you know, that. And that's the key thing that I really want you guys to like think about for yourselves, is it should speed up your process. Because you're not seeing the ugly stuff. You're seeing some of the more polished and put together things, so you can move forward in the quickest time possible. Right, that was a bit of a digression, but
I think that's great.
Yes.
One interesting thing I also want to add on Ozfishing is a lot of our stock is on pre-sale. And because whenever we launch something new, we actually we never hold the stock. If I ever want to do a new design, we sell it on pre-sale, and it's usually a 6-week wait, which I would almost say is the maximum you can run something on a pre-sale. I usually say about 4 to 5 weeks, especially during this time period. I feel like people just want things right now, and then it gets even crazier for Christmas time. But it was very interesting. So we ordered we did a big stock take order for Black Friday stock, and it arrived in around mid-November. It was a little bit delayed, and I thought we would see I think it was actually here. I thought we would see a tremendous spike in conversion rate. And it was very interesting that it only went up about 10 to 15%. Yes, that is still very, very high, but considering a lot of our stock was on a 6-week wait, I would have assumed, not saying you guys should run a pre-sale, it's just very interesting to see customer behavior. I feel like we're learning new things. I every day feel like I'm learning new things about the customer. I always, kind of like you mentioned at the live event, like once you become the founder, you are no longer your customer, and you can make so many assumptions and think and say like, I think they want this, I think they want this, but the data shows very, very different, and your customers tell you very different. Like I'm literally learning every day new things about what they want. Some shirt designs we launch, and I'm like, I honestly thought I nailed it on the head. Then we launch other ones, and I'm like, I think this is really, really ugly, but I'm just going to launch it anyway. It doesn't really hurt us. We're doing it on a pre-sale, and then it performs exceptionally well. And then one interesting thing to add is like we did a survey for our customers, and we asked them, I think I mentioned this a while ago, but it still blows my mind. We asked them, what designs do you want to see next? Because obviously like we wanted the customer feedback. And then we were like, do you want to see the same of the same? Like our Ned Kelly, do you want to see us reiterate it, or do you want something completely new? And then most customers said, we want something new. We don't want you to redo your designs. So we kept doing that for a year, something new, and we never really hit the nail on the head. We were like, oh, these new designs are performing well, but it's not like the top performing shirt. So then I think it was 2 months ago, I was like, I'm not going to listen to, for some reason, what they said, which is a bit contradicting to, I'm like, listen to the data, launched it anyway, and now it's our top performing shirt. So I'm like, customers, I always say this, they want the same of the same. Whether you're launching new products and you're thinking, hey, I want to do something completely different, it's like, how are you doing something, and how can you just make small changes to it? So I thought I would add that, because it's very interesting. But what I found is, so obviously Black Friday is this Friday, and what I found is we had really good performance during the weekend, but then it started to drop. So it dropped by 10, and then if I see here, like if I just go the last 2 days, and then even the last 3 days, performance is just going down and down and down, and even especially today and yesterday. And this just shows me like this, yes, it looks really alarming. It's like I'm spending much, much more, but I'm getting way, way lower sales. And even 20% hit yesterday, massive hit to the conversion rate. And we didn't change a thing, did nothing on the website. We didn't change marketing. We just increased the budget. But what this shows me, it's like level 3 of the sale. So it's like change to the next offer. And I don't love doing this because it's so much easier. If everything's running well, it's like, oh, I don't have to change a thing. It's less stressful. But based on the last 3 days of data, everything's declining, and it just shows me now people going live. I'm going against all these other brands. They're putting their best offers live. Maybe my customers keep seeing the same thing. I've been talking about the same thing for a month almost. And then it's like, okay, now based on this data, it's definitely showing me this is the time. If there's one more day, I don't like to do a few days of data and make a change, but during Black Friday, you only have a few days to make the change. You don't have a whole month to run the sale and say, hey, I'll run another one. So I usually take 3 to 4 days, unless it's really plummeted. And then I'll be like, okay, I can see that things are changing, and I'm competing with other people. And now and we even have like lower add to cart, everything is just lowering, which is showing me that it's time to change to a new offer. And then then we'll offer our best offer, which is 50% off, which we can do on the business as well. But like I always say, if we're offering this really, really big offer, I need to acquire customers for that $9 CPA. So it needs to work. And if not, we need to revert back.
And we also need to make sure that we're relying on the similar metrics in terms of where are we here? Like on average, people order, I think it's like 1.7 products per order average.
So this is just yesterday. So it looks amazing. People are ordering 3, but if we go
just do the last 90 days or something.
Just do the last month. So on average, 2.3 shirts.
Yeah, and so like what we can see then is say, for example, we do 50% off site wide, then we would be able to kind of like maintain our similar average order value of around about $80 to $90, which is great, because if we push that newer offer live. And so this is just like, again, really important to know your numbers, because once you know your numbers and you start to like understand, okay, I can do this and I could do like a more aggressive offer, but I can still be profitable, assuming we tick this box and then we tick this box. And then so when we roll this new offer live, it's going to be very like conscious of like, are we hitting that metric? Yes. Are we hitting this metric? Yes. Fantastic. Push more spend, right? And so it just becomes like, again, very, very important that you understand your numbers. And then you can, once you lock in on those two numbers, you will start to just see your bank account fill up. Like that's you really will start to see that happen, especially if you understand those metrics.